Good morning, dear colleagues. We are starting our work today. Our speakers today is Deputy Head of the National Police of Ukraine, Mr. Facevych, and we'll be talking about the security situation in the nation. Good morning, dear colleagues. We have been trying to inform the population via media about the activities of the national police and obtaining circumstances that are quite tense, and I would like to say thank you to the media that serve as a channel of communication for us. For the second week running, we have been in enhanced security mode. We are trying to investigate into the possible facts of aggression or provocations. We are also trying to respond to violations related to peaceful assemblies, but let me be clear. During this weekend, we exposed a number of persons who wanted to organize demonstrations for hire, and these hire demonstrators were to further destabilize the situation, the so-called Russian world, and so on. So we are investigating into these matters, but we may suspect that the sources of funding are in the Russian Federation. We are also paying special attention to the critical infrastructure facilities. As of today, we are doing our job with regard to the critical infrastructure. About 100 critical infrastructure in the integrated energy system are to be closely watched. Ukraine, as you may have heard, is to be disconnected from Russian and Belarusian power grids. Further questions should that be addressed to the agency in charge, but the national police would be ready to rebut any possible attack on those facilities. And so far as Ukraine will be working with in an isolated mode, about 600 national police will be deployed for this duty. This is a temporary solution, but later on we will act accordingly and provide security to those facilities on a more or less permanent basis. With regard to the situation in the east of Ukraine, our members of the police are working in the high security mode, some of them involved in the joint forces operations. The leadership of the national police decided to augment the force, and we will later inform you of the numbers involved as soon as the decision is taken, and the forces will be redeployed over there to enhance law and order, and members of the national police will be involved in operations regarding possible escalation of the aggression, working hand in hand with the joint forces. The police is ready to mobilize about 6,000 police who will be sent where the threat is imminent and where the need arises. The national police is ready. All the administrative orders have been made. We are in communication with the regions. Everybody knows what they're expected to do. In Donetsk, regarding the shootings, for your information, whereas until February 17th, from the beginning of this year, we registered 112 shooters. Since February 17th, we registered 190 in Donetsk and 132 in Luhansk. Firings. 57 criminal proceedings were launched in Donetsk and 8 similar proceedings in Luhansk. In relation to these facts, we last week mentioned a number of facts with regard to the weapons, legal weapons trafficking. According to our sources, looking at the number of permits issued, I may tell you that last year in February, fewer than 10,000 items were made, permits were issued. This February, 10,300. However, the munitions have started to be sold in increased quantities. This is good news. People don't go buy buckwheat, but munitions, cartridges, etc. A lot of discussions are going on with the legalization of weapons. Let me once again remind you that sporting and hunting weapons already legalized. If short bore is what you are interested in, the legislature will regulate this issue. But please remember that weapons are legalized, of course, provided certain conditions are met. Most of the time, it's hunting weapons, rifles. We have 1,200,000 items in circulation, of whom 250,000 are owners of the so-called traumatic weapons. Regarding volunteer troops in the territorial communities, the procedure will be streamlined and made more expeditious. If a member of the territorial community force shows the permit, we will expeditiously process it and issue permit for purchase and holding of, well, hunting weapons, because that's what the law says regarding possible uses of hunting weapons by members of the volunteer formations that can resort to it during emergency or martial law. Their own weapons or those issued to them by the armed forces. So we stand ready to help them. And the National Police is ready to respond to all challenges. Regarding the reports of mines, as of the beginning of this week, we've received 55 such reports, and 1,400 all in since the beginning of the year. 60 alleged perpetrators have been identified and investigations are underway. Do we have any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Well, Then you may ask other questions. Ukrinform, does the National Police have a plan for the case of imposing a martial law in Donetsk and Luhansk? You know that by law the National Police works according to the law, and there are plans in place. We are ready to implement them as soon as the emergency or martial law is established, and the law on the national resistance provides us with additional powers. That we hear that the police surrounded Mr. Medvedchuk's property estate to prevent possible flight. No, we did not surround the property. We had received certain reports and sent our patrols to check. We know that Mr. Medvedchuk is subject to certain limitations, and we are monitoring. But we heard that someone was trying to move, weapons in the minivan. Yeah, we received information, but we found no evidence. Could you tell us a couple of words on members of the territorial defense who may use the simplified procedure? Not simplified procedure, it's expediting procedure, permits, training according to the standing regulations make it possible for us to skip certain stages, such as producing special training certificates. What is required is to show clean criminal record. If a person is a certified member of the territorial defense force, we will require no further proof. So those divisions who issue permits to holders of weapons will expeditiously process all the applications. If a person, say, produces the required documents, asking to issue a permit within 3 days, we will do so, and after this person has shown proof of purchase, we will expeditiously process the permits. Is there any increase? According to my info, not a single member of those formations applied, but we'll be ready to deal with those persons who are in the territorial defense reserve. They use weapons belonging to the armed forces of Ukraine, but if they want to get a permit for some additional arms, we will expeditiously process an issue. Further questions? Channel 5 news is circulating that certain activities will be carried out in order to check how the alerts work in Ukraine, sirens, etc., and generally what civil protection questions need to be addressed with the heads of civil state administrations, local, regional. This is their duty, and it would be strange if no such checks were not carried out jointly with the State Emergency Service, and that's what happening. The National Police is ready to assist, and if anything like that happens, God forbid, including evacuation of the civil population, but more generally, it's within the remit of the SEC and civil administrations. Police, needless to say, will certainly help people inform the general public if something happens to the traditional communication channels such as internet. Our patrol duties will inter alia make rounds of the communities, of the settlements, disseminating the announcements to the loudspeakers. Thank you very much.